Lebby era officially began on Saturday in Starkville. There was a little bit of rain, crowd of 48,724, the announced attendance for game number 1. Mississippi State wasted little time, and when I say little, it took them 32 seconds to score the first touchdown. Blake Shapen to Jordan Mosley, 65 yards, 3 plays, 75 yards, 32 seconds, 7-zip Bulldogs. Hope you weren't still in line at the concession stand. Hope you didn't miss kickoff.
Yeah. Let's go. That's the way it's going to be now. It's going to be quick. Especially in the first quarter, I tried to keep an eye on the play clock and see how long, and it was consistently, they were snapping the ball around 32, 31 seconds. I mean, it was hyper speed getting up into the line of scrimmage. So I thought that was very important to see. And we talked about it on Friday that we you wanted to see Mississippi State deliver that style of offense, and they did. They did in game 1. They moved fast. They moved up and down the field. They threw the ball down the field. There were explosive plays. You couldn't really ask for a whole lot more on that side of the ball.
Following it up with the Blake Shapen rushing touchdown, Bulldogs were ahead 14-0. Early second quarter, Creed Whittemore had a 41-yard run, and he covered a lot of ground. He went all the way to the right side and then diagonally came back all the way to the front left corner of the end zone. That was one play where I was like, okay, you can do that against Eastern Kentucky. I'm not sure you're scoring on that play, maybe even against Arizona State this coming Saturday night. Yeah. Certainly not against the speedy defenses of the SEC, but it was still an impressive run by Creed Whittemore.
Yeah, very, very nice, but you're correct. That's. I mean, could it be a first down against an SEC team? Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But a 41-yard game, probably not.
Kevin Coleman had a 23-yard touchdown reception from Blake Shapen. That made it 28-0 with 7 minutes to go, roughly in the second quarter. Bulldogs would score again. Blake Shapen to Mario Craver from 54 yards out. That was a 2-play, 54-yard drive that lasted 13 seconds. And then Eastern Kentucky got on the board. 9-yard touchdown pass at the end of the second quarter, just before halftime. 35-7, the halftime score. Had a rushing touchdown, a blocked punt return for touchdown, and an interception return for touchdown in the second half. Bulldogs cruise to a 56-7 win. Blake Shapen in game number 1, 15 of 20, 247 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 1 time, also carried the ball 7 times for 44 yards and a touchdown on the ground. The leading rusher for Mississippi State was Blake Shapen, then Creed Whittemore. Kevon Lee, the running back, had 9 carries for 40 yards in the game. Devon Booth had a touchdown rush. He carried it 8 times for 39 yards. Johnny Daniels had 5 carries. Xavier Gayton had 3. Chris Parson had 1. Coming in later in the game as a quarterback, he was 0 for 2 throwing the football. Mosley, the leading receiver, 5 catches, 104 yards. Kevin Coleman, 5 for 88. Mario Craver had 1 catch for 54 yards. It was the touchdown. Whittemore caught 1 ball for 3 yards. Kevon Lee caught 1. So did Justin Ball and Stonka Burnside. Burnside's only catch went for -6. Sado Traore was targeted 3 times, did not have a reception in the game. Same thing for San Francisco McGee and Cade Kalka. So, there's your rundown on who did what. What did you see, Mr. Haydad? What stood out? What do we need to be talking about today as it pertains to Mississippi State and their season opening win?
I thought Shapen looked outstanding. I mean, there were times, Ole Miss fans, don't get mad. But there were times where I was like, looks like Corral out there. I mean, the way he was running the football, kind of running with some reckless abandon, needed to be a little more careful with himself, but the way he ran the ball, the way he was accurate, the deep ball, I mean, he looked completely comfortable, completely in charge. There was only really one bad throw or one missed throw in that game. I thought he threw a pass into coverage where he had a guy open, but by and large, Shapen was outstanding. I thought the receivers, for Mosley, who I've been hearing about, but I kind of wanted to play wait and see with, because I'd heard about him the last 2 camps, and he never really done anything. But he comes out and gets a touchdown on the first drive. Kevin Coleman, to me, was the best-looking player out there. That guy is a legitimate receiving threat across the board. And then Craver, I like him a lot, too. When Kelly Akari is finally back, and I think he'll be back this week, that's a real receiver room for Mississippi State. You've got real, legit SEC receivers out there.
I would also say Kevin Coleman, a weapon in the return game. Now, he was helped.
Did you see some of these punts?
Yes.
What were they doing? But after the second one,
driving spiral line.
It was like they were throwing
plays.
it to him. It legitimately looked like an interception return.
The first punt that he caught it like it was a pass. He went two hands in front. Hey, let's catch it between the white stripes.
State, what was the total offense for State? Do you have the numbers up there?
Total offense or just
total offense?
Or special teams.
No, just total offense.
203, 247.
So 450.
450.
Coleman's returns cost State, in terms of total offense, at least 60, 70 yards.
117 yards in punt returns.
Yeah, they would have been well over 500 yards of offense, but they just kept getting great field position from Kevin Coleman. He won't see punts like that again this year, but he is a guy who can make plays in the special teams game, and that's big for State. One of the things that maybe went underlooked was replacing Xavier Thomas and Tulu Griffin in the return game. You've got a guy in Coleman, I think, that can give you that.
Yeah, he's got electricity. And people often think explosive plays means deep passes. And that's not – if that's your only explosive plays, then you're not doing it right. So you have the punts that we've talked about, 117 yards in punt returns. Now, they're going to see better punters and better teams, but – still, he looked capable doing it.
Yeah.
And then the long runs for each person that got a carry. 18, 41, 16, 15, 11, 12.
Yeah.
So explosive run plays as well. Again, the caveats, it's Eastern Kentucky. We'll give the caveats for Ole Miss Furman as well. It's your FCS game. But there were a lot of explosive plays for a Mississippi State offense. And it's been a while since you could say that there were a lot of explosive plays for the Mississippi State offense.
I thought from the run game, though, there were less explosive plays. I thought, obviously, that 41-yarder is one, and then Chapin has a long run. But from your actual running backs, not a lot. Not a lot, and that's something that kind of surprised me. And if you listen to Jeff Lebby's press conference today, I'm sure we'll play the audio tomorrow. I think he was a little disappointed in that as well. Mississippi State just not as explosive in the run game as I would have thought they would have been.
Time of possession, get used to this, Bulldog fans, 38:06 for Eastern Kentucky, 21:54. Mississippi State only ran 57 plays in this game.
Yeah.
And that's largely because big play scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not a bunch of 15-yard gains. It was a handful of 50-yard gains.
And they lost two possessions in the first quarter, second quarter with the rain. They basically just shut down shop, just ran the ball up the middle because you couldn't throw it. You couldn't really do a whole lot with it. I think if it doesn't rain on State, they probably have another touchdown and another long drive in there somewhere.
What about on the defensive side? Anything stand out for you for the Bulldogs?
They looked pretty much exactly the way I thought they would, which is they weren't overly impressive. I was worried about the lack of pass rush. You would think against an FCS school you would be able to get to the quarterback more than they did. They looked good in short yardage situations, in 3rd and 2, 4th and 2. They were pretty good there. But you can tell the questions we have about the defense that they're going to remain for another week or two.
State